Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Together, the business English podcast that helps you communicate with confidence and advance your career. I'm Paul.
And I'm Olivia. Paul, I need to share something that happened in a coaching session last week. I was working with a product manager named Kenji from Japan who's been working at a marketing agency in Chicago for almost 3 years.
What happened?
Kenji told me he'd been severely underpaid compared to his colleagues. He found out accidentally when a coworker mentioned their salary. Kenji was making $25,000 less per year for the same role. When I asked why he'd never asked for a raise, he said, "Olivia, I don't know how. In my culture, you don't ask. And even if I wanted to, I wouldn't know what words to use in English. I'm terrified I'll sound demanding or ungrateful."
This is heartbreaking, and Kenji is not alone. We hear this constantly from non-native English speakers. You're doing excellent work. You deserve more compensation, but you have no idea how to advocate for yourself without sounding aggressive or damaging relationships.
And here's what makes this challenging. In American and British business culture, asking for a raise is actually expected. If you don't advocate for yourself, managers assume you're satisfied. Silence is not interpreted as humility. Silence is interpreted as contentment.
That's why today's episode is critical. We're teaching you the 4-part raise request framework. This is the exact structure and language that native English speakers use to successfully negotiate raises.
By the end of this episode, you'll have complete scripts, the confidence to initiate this conversation, and the language to handle any response. Let's dive in.
Let's break down the 4-part raise request framework. Part 1 is the strategic setup. This is preparation before you ever ask for a raise, and native English speakers spend weeks on this phase.
This is crucial because in English-speaking business culture, successful negotiation is about building a data-driven case, not an emotional appeal. You cannot say, "I need more money because my rent went up." That's not compelling in American or British contexts.
Instead, the strategic setup involves 3 preparation steps. Step 1, document your accomplishments with quantifiable results. Create a detailed list of what you've achieved, focusing on measurable impact. Instead of managed social media, increased social media engagement by 43%, resulting in 12,000 new qualified leads.
See the specificity? Numbers, percentages, concrete results. In email context, you'd send your manager a meeting request like, "I'd like to schedule time to discuss my role and contributions over the past year. I've prepared a summary of key projects and results. Do you have 30 minutes this week?"
You're not ambushing them. You're giving advance notice and signaling you've done homework. This is professional and respectful.
Step 2 is researching market rates. Use Glassdoor, Salary.com, or industry surveys to understand what professionals with your experience typically earn. You might ask a mentor, "I'm thinking about a compensation conversation. Does a salary range of X to Y seem reasonable for my level?"
You're validating expectations before negotiation. Step 3 is timing strategically. Best times are after completing major successful projects, during annual reviews, after successful company quarters, or when you've taken on significantly more responsibility.
You might test timing by saying, "I'd love to discuss my compensation and career growth soon. What's the best time in our review cycle for that conversation?"
The common mistake is skipping preparation entirely. Without documentation, research, and timing, your success rate drops dramatically. Native speakers prepare extensively.
Another mistake is preparing emotional arguments. "I work so hard" isn't evidence. "I stay late every night" doesn't prove value. You need concrete, business-oriented accomplishments that answer, "How have I made the company money, saved money, or solved significant problems?"
In meetings, you'd never wing this conversation. If your manager casually asks, "How are things going?" you don't suddenly launch into a raise request. You'd say, "Things are great. Actually, I'd love to schedule time to discuss my role development. Can we set up a dedicated meeting?
That shows respect for the gravity of the conversation and gives both parties time to prepare properly.
Part 2 is the confident opening. This is how you begin when sitting with your manager, and the language sets the tone for everything.
Native speakers use the appreciation, value, ask structure. Start with genuine appreciation, demonstrate value with evidence, then make your ask clearly. Here's exactly how this sounds.
You begin, "Thank you for making time today. I really appreciate the opportunity to discuss my role and contributions. Over the past year, I've grown tremendously, and I'm excited about our team's work. You're starting positive and collaborative."
Then transition to value. I wanted to share highlights of what I've accomplished and discuss how my role has evolved. I successfully led the client onboarding redesign, reducing our onboarding time from 6 weeks to 3 weeks. I've taken on mentorship of 2 junior team members, and I've expanded responsibilities to include vendor management, which wasn't originally part of my role.
Notice the action verbs: led, reduced, taken on, expanded. You're specific about results, presenting this as factual information, not boasting. In email follow-up, you'd write, "Thank you for yesterday's conversation. As discussed, over the past year, I've delivered the following results," followed by bullet points.
Then comes the ask, where non-native speakers often falter from fear of directness, but clarity is crucial. After presenting values, say, "Based on my expanded responsibilities, the results I've delivered, and current market rates, I'd like to discuss adjusting my compensation. I'm looking for a salary increase to the range of $85,000 to $95,000.
That's direct but professional. You're not apologizing or hedging with maybe or possibly. You're stating clearly what you want. In formal meetings with HR present, use similar language. "I'm proposing a compensation adjustment to $95,000 annually, reflecting both my performance and market rates for senior analysts."
In informal practice with a mentor beforehand, you might say, "I'm planning to ask for a raise to $90,000. Does that feel reasonable given my accomplishments? I want to be realistic."
Common mistakes: being too vague or apologetic. Never say, "I was wondering if maybe it might be possible to potentially discuss perhaps getting a small raise, if that's okay." That undermines everything. You sound uncertain about your value.
Another mistake is giving a single number instead of a range. "I want exactly $95,000. Leaves no negotiation room. But "I'm looking for $90,000 to $100,000 creates discussion space while anchoring high.
Never start with apology. Don't say, "I'm sorry to bother you." You're having a legitimate business conversation. In meetings, confident professionals present data and make clear requests without excessive qualification.
Your confidence in opening sets the tone for the entire negotiation. Practice this language until it feels natural.
Part 3 is handling objections. Your manager probably won't immediately say yes. They might say budget is frozen, it's not the right time, or they need to think about it. You need response scripts.
Most common objection: "We don't have budget for raises right now." Here's the native speaker response: "I understand budget constraints are real. Can we discuss what's possible within current constraints? For example, would there be flexibility around a performance bonus, additional paid time off, or professional development budget? Or could we schedule this for next quarter during budget planning?"
You acknowledge the objection without accepting defeat and proposed creative alternatives. You're showing flexibility while maintaining your goal. In email follow-up, "Thank you for transparency about the budget. I'm attaching alternative compensation structures we could consider within existing constraints."
Another response is, "Let me think about it and get back to you." This sounds reasonable, but can mean avoidance. Your response: "I absolutely understand you need time. To help your decision-making, is there additional information I can provide? And when would be good to reconnect? I want to make sure we close the loop."
That last part is crucial, establishing specific follow-up timeframes so this doesn't disappear. You might add,
should we schedule a 15-minute follow-up in 2 weeks?
If your manager says your performance hasn't justified a raise, respond, I appreciate that feedback. Can you help me understand specifically which performance areas need improvement? I want to be crystal clear on expectations so I can work toward that adjustment.
You're not accepting the assessment, but you're not arguing defensively. You're asking for specific, actionable feedback. In meetings, this approach demonstrates maturity and genuine interest in growth, which actually strengthens your case.
Part 4 is finding the compromise. Sometimes you won't get exactly what you asked for, and you need to negotiate to middle ground that still improves your situation.
If your manager says, I can't do $95,000, but I could do $85,000, you don't just accept or reject. You explore. I appreciate you're willing to move on compensation. The gap between $85,000 and $95,000 is significant. What if we met at $90,000 and we also discussed expanding my role responsibilities to justify that level?
You're showing you understand compromise while advocating for yourself. In email after negotiation, thank you for the constructive conversation. I understand $85,000 is your current offer. I'd like to propose $90,000 with the performance review in 6 months where we reassess based on new projects I'll be leading. Does that feel workable?
Another strategy is bundling non-salary benefits. If salary isn't moving, if $95,000 isn't possible, could we discuss $88,000 base salary plus an additional week of vacation, a $5,000 professional development budget, and eligibility for the next bonus cycle?
You're creating value through combination. With HR, you might ask, what other levers can we pull besides base salary? I want to find a package that reflects my value within company constraints.
The mistake is accepting the first offer without negotiation. That signals you didn't believe in your initial ask. Always negotiate at least once. Paul, we need to address the massive cultural difference around salary negotiation because many listeners are deeply uncomfortable with this entire conversation.
Absolutely. In many cultures, particularly in Asia, Latin America, and some European countries, talking about money is considered inappropriate. There's an expectation that good work will be automatically recognized and rewarded. Self-promotion seems arrogant. Directly asking for money can feel greedy or disrespectful.
But in American and British business culture, assumptions are completely different. There's a fundamental belief that every professional is responsible for advocating for their own compensation. Managers aren't mind readers. If you don't explicitly ask for a raise and make a case, they assume you're satisfied.
And here's what's crucial. When you ask for a raise using our framework, with data and professionalism, native speakers don't perceive you as greedy. They perceive you as confident, self-aware, and business savvy. These are positive leadership qualities.
Research shows people who negotiate salaries effectively are more likely to be promoted because they've demonstrated they understand market value and can advocate strategically. The conversation itself is a skill demonstration.
There's also a fairness element. In many English-speaking companies, there are significant pay disparities for the same work, often affecting women and international employees most. The system isn't automatically equitable. If you don't advocate, you'll fall behind peers who do negotiate.
I want to address relationship fears. A reasonable manager won't penalize you for professionally requesting fair compensation. If your manager reacts negatively to a well-prepared, professionally delivered request, that's valuable information about whether this is the right company long-term.
Good managers respect employees who know their value and can articulate it. This conversation, done well, can actually strengthen relationships by opening dialogue about career growth.
Asking for a raise isn't cultural betrayal. It's adapting to succeed in your environment.
This conversation reminds me of Kenji, the client I mentioned at the beginning. After discovering he was significantly underpaid, he was terrified about approaching his manager. He said, in Japan, this would be handled indirectly, maybe through a third party. I don't know how to be direct about money without destroying my relationship.
Where did you start?
We spent 3 weeks working through this framework. First, we documented every accomplishment over his 3 years. Kenji was shocked when we finished because he hadn't recognized how much value he'd created. He'd led complete redesign of their client reporting system, trained 5 new team members, and taken on project management responsibilities not in his original job description.
So he built his evidence-based case.
Exactly. Then we researched market rates and discovered he should actually be making $30,000 more, not just the $25,000 gap he'd found. We practiced his opening probably 15 times. He kept wanting to apologize, and I kept coaching. State your value confidently. This is business, not a personal favor.
How did the actual conversation go?
Kenji scheduled a meeting using our email script. He went in with documented accomplishments printed out. He delivered his opening exactly as practiced: appreciation, value demonstration, clear ask for adjustment to market rate. His manager was surprised because Kenji had never advocated for himself. The manager said, "I had no idea you felt undercompensated. You never said anything, so I assumed you were happy."
That's exactly the cultural misunderstanding we've been discussing.
Right. The manager couldn't approve the full $30,000 immediately, but they compromised. $20,000 raise effective immediately, promotion to senior product manager, and commitment to review compensation again in 6 months with goal of reaching full market rate.
That's a massive win.
Kenji said afterwards, "The hardest part was starting the conversation. I waited 3 years and lost probably $75,000 because I was afraid to ask."
This is our most important practice drill because salary negotiation language needs to be in your muscle memory. When you're sitting with your manager, heart racing, you need these phrases to come out smoothly. We're practicing 3 critical scripts right now.
Listen to each complete script, then pause and repeat out loud with confidence. Imagine you're in that meeting. Use strong, clear voice. Ready?
Script 1, the confident opening. Listen and repeat. Thank you for making time to meet today. Over the past year, I've taken on significantly expanded responsibilities and delivered strong results, including the successful launch of our new customer portal and a 15% increase in client retention. Based on these contributions and current market rates, I'd like to discuss adjusting my compensation to the range of $85,000 to $95,000.
Notice you're not apologizing, you're stating facts confidently. Script 2, handling the budget objection. Listen and repeat. I understand budget constraints are real, and I appreciate your transparency. Can we explore what might be possible within current constraints? For example, would there be flexibility around a performance bonus or additional benefits? Or could we schedule this for next quarter when budgets are being planned?
Perfect. You're showing flexibility while maintaining your goal. Script 3, proposing a compromise. Listen and repeat. I appreciate you're willing to move on compensation. If $90,000 isn't possible right now, what if we agreed on $87,000 with a performance review in 6 months where we reassess based on new projects I'll be leading? I want to find an approach that recognizes my contributions while working within company constraints.
Now, if you want complete scripts for every scenario, email templates, and a step-by-step timeline, we've created the Salary Negotiation Toolkit with the complete 4-part framework, response scripts for handling objections, and a preparation checklist.
Download it free at EnglishTogether.com/raise. This toolkit has helped listeners earn hundreds of thousands in additional compensation.
Go grab it now. EnglishTogether.com/raise.
Let's recap the 4-part raise request framework that will transform your negotiation confidence.
Part 1, the strategic setup. Document accomplishments with quantifiable results, research market rates, and time your request strategically after successes or during review cycles.
Part 2, the confident opening. Use appreciation, value, ask structure. Start with appreciation, present documented value with specific results, and make your ask clearly with a salary range.
Part 3, handling objections. When budget is frozen, propose creative alternatives. When they need time, establish specific follow-up time frame. When performance is questioned, ask for specific feedback.
Part 4. Finding the compromise. Don't accept first offers immediately. Explore middle ground, bundle non-salary benefits, and show you understand compromise while advocating for your value.
If you apply this framework, you'll significantly increase your chances of getting the raise you deserve.
Remember, asking for a raise professionally isn't greedy. It's a standard business conversation and leadership demonstration.
Thanks for listening to English Together. Download your free salary negotiation toolkit at englishtogether.com/raise.
We'll see you next time. Keep practicing, keep growing, and keep speaking English together.